Forgetting how to do this. Testing. Hopefully now you can hear me soon. I had to have my volume off. My dog was chewing on a bone, so. Switch this up. There we go. Okay. Hopefully now you can hear me soon. I had to have my volume off. My dog was on a bone, so. All right. Trying to remember how I did this last time. I'm trying to share my screen with you guys so that way if any questions come up about the particular objects or about anything new that I want to share with you, I can kind of bounce back and forth. My one computer is going very slow though, so I'm not sure if it's going to work, but I think last time it kind of got going once a few more people joined and I felt a little bit more comfortable with it, so I'm just trying to figure out the setup right now. I'm trying to share my screen with you guys so that way if any questions come up about the particular objects or about it, I can bounce back and forth. My one computer is going very slow though, so I'm not sure if it's going to work, but I think last time it kind of got going once a few more people joined and I felt a little bit more comfortable with it, so I'm just trying to figure out the setup right now. I'm trying to share. And I just remembered that if I have that computer's audio on, it will record it on this one. So for that, I'm sorry. I think I'm ready to go now. So we'll go ahead and get started. I think a few people, it's hard coming off of spring break and having, a little bit of a change in our structure, and especially since this is such a new time and our change in structure is already so different. I know for me personally, not having a schedule, not having things planned out for me last week made it a lot more difficult for me to kind of stay motivated and stay on top of things. So it was definitely a challenge to get back into the swing of things, but one that I'm very grateful for. So I will do this kind of in the same format as last time, where I will just kind of start going with some things that I kind of think are important for us to share and to talk about. And then as questions come up, if you guys will just post them in the comments. It looks like we have 4 or 5 people joining right now. So I know more and more join as time goes on. I know schedules are different. And if there's ever a time that you guys are saying, look, this is just not going to work, we need it to be a different time, I'm open to suggestions. So let me know if there is a certain time that maybe works better. I figured that this is a good time. It's late enough in the afternoon, but early enough that it's before dinner. So I hoped that this time would work well for you guys. Let's see here. So I'm trying to jump back and forth, and my one computer is a little bit delayed, so it's taking my brain a second to kind of refocus on what I want to talk to you guys about. The first thing I did want to talk about was where I have all of the new files housed. I will continue sending them an email, but some people were saying it was just with all the amount of emails that we're all getting from all of our, especially with you guys with multiple children, you're getting multiple emails a day from teachers. Resources and websites are sending out even more emails than normal, it seems like. So I know that I have lost track of a lot of emails through mine. So again, I did see Divya, if your mom or dad are on here, I did see your email too, that there was one that I had completely missed. So she forwarded it back to me, so that gave me a good notice of, oh, okay, I need to respond to this. I lost it in all of the emails. So if I ever don't respond to one of your questions or something like that, please let me know, and then just forward it back to me. Our time limit is 24 hours, so if you haven't heard from me in 24 hours, please try to re-forward it to me or something like that. It's possible that it just got lost in the shuffle of all the emails that we're getting. But one of the things that a couple parents suggested was in this, so this is what your Microsoft Teams app should look like when you download it. I do recommend downloading it versus trying to use it through the web. I had some issues with it myself personally going through the web, so I was able to just download the app on both my Mac and on my PC, and it worked great. But when you're in this general chat, you can see that students do have access at the moment to just chat whenever. So anyone here, hi, how are you? I'm bored, those sort of things. We'll kind of talk about what, making sure everything is appropriate and things like that. But right now I do have the chat turned on for them. So you might see this chat board, or what you'll see is that there might be lots of messages were going on last week during spring break. We had some open conversations and things like that. But when they log in, if I have a live video started or a chat or anything going on, there will be a purple box kind of up here that'll say join now. So from now on, please make sure that you are not clicking on any old links that I sent, that you are focusing on just using that join now button. Our Vanguard team kind of are requesting, I guess, us to use that join now feature. It's just going to help it be a little bit more secure. There was some news about Zoom and how people were getting into chats because there were links being shared and things like that, and Microsoft Teams is susceptible to that as well. So rather than sending out the links, they want us to use that join now feature instead, so that only students with their logged in accounts can see that. So if you have a personal Microsoft Teams account, you might run into some issues. You got to make sure you're completely logged out for them to be able to access everything, but it should be fine. Once here, this is where I put files, and then all of our week 4 resources that I sent out in the email today. So the checklist, the week at a glance, the additional resources, quizzes, and choice boards are all going to be housed here. So it's just an extra place for you to have access to those files in a quick, easy way. I know some people were saying that on the website, they couldn't remember the website, or our website wasn't linking properly, or things like that. So this is one way to make sure that anything that I've sent in email is going to be right here for you. So it's just another place you can actually open it up in the app, and it'll open up here, or you can download it and then open it that way as well. So with that, I want to go over a couple of the changes that I made to the weekly checklist. We use checklists all the time in class, and this one is, I tried to make it as simple yet concise, but have everything in one place, and so it looks like a lot. So I'm toying around with the idea of giving you guys a blank copy that you can either write in, or I'll change it so you can add a text box and type your own things in, just to kind of make sure that I'm hitting all of the things that you want and all of the things that are needed and requested and things like that. So this one follows the same format as last week, and then this week's I made it a little bit more specific. So this will go into the activities that I'm going to be posting to Seesaw that day, or the videos that I'm going to be doing, or the lessons that I'm going to be doing are going to be listed here. So it gives you kind of an idea of how I would teach the skills. I saw some people already doing some of so the way that we have it designed in our heads is that first column. Actually, let me go ahead and just pull it up. And I don't have that one. Oh, well, let's go back and do that. So back here, back to the, and I'm going to think about posting last week's and the weeks before, so you have access to those as well. If I go to the choice boards, so I just wanted, while I was on that train of thought here. So what we try to do is we stick to this category here is going to kind of be your fluency, your review, basically things from last week, things that you can do that first day without any instruction. You can just kind of get started with the new week and not have to start worrying about new content. And then this category, we're always going to focus on vocabulary and writing related to some sort of subject that we're talking about. We're trying to integrate our science as much as possible, since that's not a requirement anymore. So this week we're doing reptiles. And then this will be kind of our reading literary standard focus for the week. So we're working on informational text. This is kind of what we would use as our lesson. And then if you go down to math, it's going to be in a similar format in terms of that first column here is going to be a review column. So these are the ones that I would stick to on Monday. That's why I always say A or D. Fluency is always something we want to practice. And and then we'll have some activity that reviews the previous week's skill. So that way students can get kind of more familiar with getting back into the routine of the week before jumping into a new concept. We'll usually have this one be the recommended next section to start with, and then this will be kind of how I would teach it. We would teach rows and columns first, and then we would talk about arrays as totals after that. So that's kind of how we have the choice boards lined up. I did on the week at a glance, I did suggest certain things like A and D, and then also B and F. Please know that you can do both of those, but you don't have to. You can definitely choose one or the other. It's just those two kind of align together. So for example, on B and F, it's about research skills, and so using vocabulary is going to help us with those research skills. The students are very familiar with this vocabulary format. This is part of our reading curriculum that we use, so they're familiar with doing these and using the tools such as Britannica Kids and things like that. So that's with the choice boards, and then I wanted to jump back to that checklist. So what I did on this checklist was I kind of talked about those specific activities that I'm going to be doing, and this one does work for both 2.1 and 3.1 math. And then I also put this suggested section here still. The new thing that I added was this math class, so we'll have a math class. I realized that we were kind of lacking on that a little bit, so I added a Microsoft Teams math class there, and I sent out that email with all the links and everything like that. We'll keep our Microsoft Teams reading class. The live class quizzes, they really enjoyed that. These times might be a little bit off, so I would say probably 10, 10:20, maybe 10:45 by math 3.1. I think next week I'll probably switch it and start with math 2.1, then reading, and then that way the 3.1 kids can join without having to do that 2.1 math. And then Friday we'll have a Flipgrid posted and a Microsoft Teams class check-in. And then I added this extra section down here. Some parents were saying that they want to encourage their children to do the quizzes. They want to encourage them to watch the videos. They want to encourage them to do one of those extra worksheets. So I left this here so you could have that as extras. One of the things that we do in our class with a checklist is that they have to complete everything in that Monday section, and then they have another section that we want them to complete. And then there's what can I do when I'm finished? And that's where we have a lot of our fun games and things like that that are related into our standards. We'll have fun projects and things like that that they can do, but they have to have that checklist finished. So if that's something you want to use to help motivate your child, that's what you can put in these fun boxes. You can use any of the suggested activities that I have listed down here, or something that maybe you guys have talked about doing, baking, cooking, some sort of really fun art project or something like that. You can write it as a goal here, and then you can say, okay, go through and make sure that all of these things are done. Now, if there's something that you don't want them to do or you're not going to require them to do, one of the things I would do, like for example, I have students that leave class for an ESOL class. They're gone for an hour, so they miss a chunk of our class. So some of the activities I would cross out, just as simple as that, cross them out, say, oh, you don't have to do that. Or, okay, put a star next to the ones that you can get a bonus for or something like that. I did leave a blank spot here if there's something particular you want to add, like that work page, or if you wanted to write the quizzes code. I'm just still toying around. It's kind of hard to tell because I adapt them for our kids and can see what's working and what's not working. But unfortunately, I can only see a little bit from what's posted. So I'll keep playing around with format and send over kind of a blank one for you if that will help. So that was the checklist. I did hear that some people were still having issues with links again this week. I went on my Mac and I was able to open up the YouTube link and it worked fine. Let's see if it actually works. Yes. So it worked fine on here, but when I was on my work computer, I did run into some trouble. So I had a coworker who is also a parent of ours who went and said she found the same issue on her work computer. There was something about third-party cookies being blocked, and she wasn't able to find a solution to that feature. She just went on her husband's computer instead. She was still having trouble copying and pasting the links, but I did hear from some of you last week that that did work. So if you're having that issue, let me know. One of the things I sent her a blank, or not blank, but a PowerPoint of it, and she said the links worked when it was in a PowerPoint format. So the only thing about PowerPoint is I'd have to make sure to change the fonts so that they're standard on any computer, which is fine. I can totally do that for you if that's something you need. Just let me know and I can get that to you. Trying to think if there's anything I'm not seeing any questions in the comments right now, but I am happy to go through anything that you might have questions on, so please go ahead and start leaving those questions there. I'm just going to open up Seesaw real quick and go through if there was anything new on Seesaw I wanted to talk about. Let's see here. So again, with Seesaw, you want to make sure that when you're logging in that you scroll down to the tabs. We're using this one. I think most of you guys are super familiar with that, and then that you can use that to add. I did do our math video kind of combined together today, so it was both, I'm sorry, 2.1 and 3.1 math groups were kind of combined in there. And it just gave them some discussions of the activity. I tried to make a digital activity for, sorry, I have to go to there. Here it is. So I made a digital activity for the fluency one. It is a really fun activity. I find it to be a good challenge. I enjoy doing them myself. But you can actually move these little blue boxes here to move them around into the boxes to see how you can fix the puzzle. For the onomatopoeia, this one is slightly different than the activity that was linked in there. Similar idea. However, let's see if I can find the one with the link. Here we go. So this one, instead of writing the 3 sentences, what they were suggested to do was see if you go outside, can you see the bee? What does the bee do? What's the onomatopoeia? What is the sound word that we would hear? So things like purr and buzz and whoosh and splash and things like that. So I created that template just for something a little bit different. I posted 4 things that I would think you would find, but then I made a blank page as well. So you can see he went and added some things in there that maybe he heard there. So using these Seesaw tools is a great way for me to give your child feedback. Without that feedback, I don't know how they're doing. The only thing that I have required is that iReady documentation, and that only shows me a small snippet of what all you guys are doing. So the more you share on Seesaw, the more I can provide, the more I can see how your kids are doing. Definitely when there's those fluency ones, like this is an OR/AR fluency activity, that's where I can hear them reading, or they can just repeat. That's one of the bonus things that we always add on our checklist is create a Seesaw read aloud. So they just take a quick 5-minute video of them reading and then record their reading so that I can hear it. So this particular student, let's see if it will work.
Dr. Corey. Corey loved being a doctor.
So you can hear that fluency, and I can actually go through. I see that my video is lagging on the other screen. I hope that you've been able to hear me okay. Click that and see maybe if that will help some. But then if I have some extra apps and things like that open, that might be causing some trouble. Hopefully you guys have been able to hear me okay today. If not, let me know in the comments, okay? Quit a couple things while we're waiting. Okay. The last thing that I really wanted to discuss with you guys was the grading policy. I'm not sure, it was not supposed to go out yet, and Mr. Vance was working on creating a more simplified version than what Fulton County had stated. So over the next, I would say, week or so, he's working to create that document so that it's in a little bit more of a cohesive format for our younger students. But essentially what we've been told is that we're not going to penalize students for this time. So any grades that are lower than what their previous third 9 weeks, the report cards just went home, what their third 9 weeks grade was, any grade that is below that will not be counted. So for example, if a student scored an 85 in reading last quarter, so quarter 3, and they had an 85, but then based on all of those iReady assessments, they have a 75 at the moment, their score will still be kept at that 85. It's going to sort of turn into a pass-fail. However, we are still recording those. It's going to be based on the SNU scale. And we're going to try to keep that in mind, that this is a very difficult time. We have students with abundance of resources. We have students without those resources. We have students with structure, students without structure. So what everybody's being exposed to is a little bit different. So we are making sure that we're not penalizing any students for something that is completely out of their control. So please make sure that you are sharing the choice board activities. We really want to see how the students are doing. And we want to see just the great work that you guys are putting in. We know it's a lot, and we appreciate all that you're doing. And however else you can help, please let us know. I'm hoping by having that math class, that will give us a little bit more instruction in math. I'm looking for ways to integrate science beyond just through the reading board, kind of coming up with some fun activities. I have some ideas for reptiles this week that we would normally do in class, so I'm going to try to share those out throughout the week. My schedule that I originally created is a little bit difficult for me to keep up with because we have some additional meetings and things like that going on, so I might reformat that kind of timeline thing to include the new Teams activities and things like that. And then trying to think if there's anything else off the top of my head. There was a parent survey placement request form from, I believe Ms. Neumeister sent it out, and I think she's asked that it's due today. And that's just basically if you want some feedback for next year, what kind of classroom environment, those types of things. They try to take that into consideration. So check your emails for those if you have that. I'm checking the chat here, and still no questions yet. So I see Veda, hi Veda, and Olivia are on here. If you guys that are on here have any questions, please let me know. Just type them in the comments. I think that this helps me keep track of things a little bit better than trying to do it through email. As you can see, there's just tons and tons of emails coming through. So this kind of gives me a little bit of a chance to answer those questions directly that you have. If there's anything in particular. So the end of the school year, as of now, we are still continuing to have school go until scheduled, but it will be only this online through the rest of the time. So we are scheduled to, believe the last full day was the 21st. My calendar is not, I just reset my computer and it hasn't synced my school calendar yet. But it's going to be during the end of May. Let's see, I can go on my other calendar here real quick and see about that exact date. Let's see. Oh, it's not going to show it. Okay, well, I'm sorry about that, but I will get that exact date if that's something. When we look at the Fulton County website, they have the calendar. So they're still going to require us to take those grades, but we'll be able to, as I was kind of explaining earlier, stop that a little bit earlier. We usually stop collecting grades the week prior, sometimes 2 weeks prior. I don't know the exact dates on those final things, but my plan is to continue with the online lessons and continue everything until that last week that we're scheduled. So I believe it's that week of the 18th through the 22nd of May. I'll still be posting the normal stuff throughout that week. Probably not so much rigor in terms of the reading and math activities. Maybe it'll be some sort of fun choice activity, kind of things like that. It's just such a different time for sure this year. All of our normal celebrations and things like that are kind of put on hold, and hopefully once some things are lifted, we can get together and still have some of those over the summer. I'm still thinking about ways for us to get together digitally, so trying to still figure out something to do with that living museum. Maybe it's just you guys send in a video and we can collect it all together into a presentation. I'd like to do an online poetry cafe type thing, because that's something that we usually do towards the end of the year. One of my students suggested somehow doing a Microsoft Teams field day, which I thought was a really cute idea. So I'm toying around with some ideas of maybe students send in videos of typical field day activities and we can award points and things like that. So we're just looking for some ways to keep the learning going, but also keep the fun going. Alrighty, still not seeing much in the chat. So if you have a comment or a question, please feel free to leave it in there. That'll help keep things going, or if we're ready, then we can go. Is it possible that someone will have to redo second grade? No, not unless they were a student that was already in discussion for that. So we have students in second grade, not very many, and that would have been a conversation that we would have had with the parents long ago. So at this point, students are promoting to the next grade unless there is an extreme circumstance or somebody that we need to really talk to about that, maybe a student that was struggling, failing in the beginning of the year. We would have had conversations about that already and discuss possible retention options. But at this point, no student will be held to repeat second grade without that discussion that would have previously happened. So. All right. Well, I don't want to keep anybody on if you don't have any more questions. I think I went over everything that I had wanted to. If there's something else that comes up, definitely feel free to let me know. I'll stay on for a little while longer in case anybody has any more questions. I'm pretty sure I went through all the resources for you guys. What I tried to do this week, I'm trying to remember if I did. So what I tried to do this week for reading at least was align each of the activities with their videos. So you'll see that rather than just having a bunch, like for example, when I get to the math rows and columns, well, that will work for both B and E, I believe, row B and E. So you could use those. Arrays kind of more general. So math is a little bit more general. Because the reading's a little bit more specific, I wanted to give you a link that went with the activity. So if you're working on activity A, you can say, all right, here's your videos, choose one to watch. Or here's an example that you can look at. Or if you're doing main ideas, there's 3 videos there. Or reptile research, there are a lot. I did link a lot of reptile research in there. Just for you guys to have some specific articles and things like that to link on. Epic Books will have tons of books on that as well. So that'll be something fun that you can look up for your reptiles as well. I think this was the only one that I didn't talk about. Choice boards were good. Quizzes went really well. We did live quizzes right before the break. We'll do that again this week. So the quiz one will not be one of these quizzes. So these are all free to use. Last week's are still linked on the website, and I'll link them in the Microsoft Teams app under the files as well. And so those will still work too. If you want to access those, I think they last about a month usually. So some of them will start to expire, but all of these were just added the last day or so. So these are just sometimes they're just some fun ones. So reptile vocabulary is one of their skills, but this is kind of just more of a review, kind of a challenge idea. So that was quizzes. I shared the checklist with you guys, and I shared the, we talked about Seesaw, we talked about here's your week at a glance. And then this one's just for our blue group right here, which I think I forgot to change. It says math. So I'm sorry about that blue group, but I'll make sure their parents know who those are. But anyway, so if you were able to receive the schedule that I sent out, Monday we'll have our parent chat. Tuesdays we'll do math lesson live on Microsoft Teams. Wednesday will be reading lesson live on Microsoft Teams. Thursday will be those live quizzes to review, and then Friday's just like a catch up and see how everybody's doing. I kind of want to do some sort of theme, so we really quickly did Furry Friday the last time, and everybody brought their stuffed animal, their favorite stuffed animal with them. So I'll think of something for this week and send that out. But if nobody else has any more questions, like I said, I'll stay on for a little bit. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope everybody stayed safe from the storm and are staying healthy. But this is definitely a weird time, definitely a difficult time. Definitely a little bit disappointed that we won't get to finish the year out together, but we'll find our ways to make it count this year.